welcome to your prong. Try not to wreck the place. Welcome to my introduction to the Zpack's Arc haul. Before we get to the Zpack's Arc haul, the reason why my springy thing is here is I just wanted to show this is an original MLD Exodus pack with the pockets and everything, including the drinks pockets, which when I weighed it, I didn't have it on. So I've kind of guesstimated. This is around about 700 grams, and this one has the frame in it, you know, you can't fold it. It's basically one of these. So this pack is around about 55 litres, 700 grams with a back support. The only thing that you did have to add is in the original one, as in this one, Ron did have a place in here where you would put like an air pad, like a special air pad that came with it to give back support, and obviously that added, you know, a tiny bit of weight, you know, not much, but you know, I don't know, a few grams. I never used that. What I used to do is I would take my air mat and then I would thread my air mat down in there and then seal it up and close it, and then the air mat would be, you know, would be helping to be part of the back system in there. I obviously just found that, you know, generally speaking, I preferred using my regular Exodus, which was exactly the same as this and is up there somewhere, where basically, you know, you didn't have a back support. I used the sleeping mat, and that's basically how I was using, you know, that's just how I was using that. But that was about 700 grams, a little bit smaller than the Zpacks. Now my all-time absolute favourite pack is the MLD Exodus, which is the same as that's Exodus, but this is the Cuban fibre DCF. This is the original DCF version, or one of them. They've changed the material, I think, to maybe something similar to that now. I weighed this. This was 680 grams, so marginally lighter than that Exodus, with all of the pockets, the bungee, you know, just basically everything, how you would use it. So, you know, 680 grams. It's obviously frameless. What I'm curious about, and obviously it kind of is a little bit wider up there, so I'm not going to go so much for the width, because to be fair, I think that one, that's, oh, that's inches, so that's about 70 millimeters. Up there is, you know, it's just over 70 millimeters. The Zpacks or Zpacks is 75. So the Zpacks is a little bit wider across there. So that's obviously a very good thing. It's perfect on that one. It was the same as on the Bonfust that I had, but obviously on this one, on this HMG, they are barely 56, so that one is like 2 centimeters. So the Zpacks is 2 centimeters wider on the shoulder straps, which is a huge thingy. And then obviously on the Exodus, the MLD, it's 1.5 centimeter wider, which is fine. You know, to be fair, I don't have a problem with the MLD one. I am kind of curious as to the girth of the straps. So a bit difficult to say because obviously it's squishy. Maybe 12 millimeters, so a decent thickness, you know, a decent girth. But Ron's girth, oh, Ron's got a good girth here. You're making up for things here, Ron. That's a good 15 millimeter. So Ron has obviously gone, you know, in the straps, you know, for a nice little bit of girth in the thickness of the straps there. But I think, you know, given that these are, you know, marginally wider and barely any less girthy, I think they will be, yeah, I think they're decent straps. The girth on the HMG, maybe 11.5, which interestingly is, yeah, so Ron's girth is the thickest of it's the thickest of all. Ron's is the most satisfying. The girth on the Zpacks and on the HMG is about the same. The only difference is because they're 2 centimeters wider on that, it is just generally feels much more substantial. I mean, these feel very weedy, you know, weak and weedy shoulder straps. You know, I think because they're so thin, the girth on this is just concentrated on that little bit, because you also get, you know, kind of like this stuff going on at the edge. So you know, so they're even kind of narrower than anything. Whereas, you know, this is just really, that feels a really substantial thing. Anyway, so weight wise, that was about, so the Exodus with the frame was about 700 grams. The DCF Exodus without the frame, but all attachments, was about 680 grams. And this is 880 grams. But bearing in mind, this is 70 litres, not 55 litres. So it's a little bit more. And obviously it does have, you know, a more complicated back system, which we will take a look at, you know, in a minute. So obviously Ron's framed pack without the inflatable thing is still lighter. Oh, good one, Ron! We're still lighter than this setup. It's a shame actually that Zpacks can't do, or Ron, whichever, but you know, it's a shame that someone can't do a DCF, you know, with, I've gone and lost my prongy thing, you know, with a really, really lightweight, there must be a reason why they don't, you know, that would be like a really nice internal frame without the air doodahs, you know, because what this one has, which I do quite like, is, you know, is the back of it. It's not the same thin material, you know, not, when I say thin, you know what I mean, you know, it's not the same thin material as this, or indeed this. So the back system on the Exodus is the same as the entire thingy, which is perfect for that. So, you know, that's fine. But obviously when you get to a bigger pack, you know, it is nice that, you know, that there's a little bit more substantialness. It's almost like they've put 2 pieces of carbon fibre there or something, just to make this material, you know, a little bit thicker there. So that's good. Jury is out, you know, slightly on how the curved thing is going to go, you know, with a winter loadout, because, you know, the whole point of a big pack is to put a winter loadout. So obviously, you know, time will tell. That's where in some ways I'd actually prefer, you know, a straight back system on it. I believe you can even take the rods out. The only thing is, if you take the rods out, I don't know whether sort of some of this material-y stuff is going to get in your back. Probably not, but I'll leave it as it is. Experts, is it fairly easy to take those rods out? I'm kind of, you know, just curious on how it is, you know, without the rods, because there is, I did ask Zpacks before getting it, and they said that the back is not padded, and to be fair, it's not, but it is marginally thicker than that, so that, you know, there is a little bit of stuff there. Anyway, we've used about 11 or 12 minutes and we haven't got to this yet. Anyway, the dedicated viewer will still be watching. Everyone else thankfully would have buggered off by now. Okay, now we've done a very basic comparison between the king of the outdoor stuff and the upstarter, who to be fair has been around a long time as well. I don't know whether my good friend Chad Poindexter ever does anything, but he was a big Zpack's fan back in the day, so I don't know whether you ever watch this or anything. I hope you're keeping well, Chad. I've got a Zpack's. I remember our little conversations and his funny little dog. Hope you're well. Anyway, this looks a very nice pack. There's a few interesting things that I'm going to note. Let's start at the side. First of all, I don't know whether Zpack's did it first or Bonfus did it first, but I noticed that Bonfus had cord, not bungee, on the side. Zpack's have done the same here, so it will be interesting to see how that goes, because check out my Bonfus video, you know, on that. So that's going to be interesting. The criticism that I had with Bonfus is that the cord was, as I remember, the same length as this. You know, there was no room to get anything in. At least with Zpack's there is, you know, there is this little extra bit here which could be, you know, could make it bigger to get something, you know, underneath it. So they have done that. Zpack's and Bonfus looks like they're both using this, you know, this locking thing here, so that will be interesting to see how that goes. Again, I prefer those toggle things, you know the things I mean. I prefer those. So, but you know, we will see how it goes. That, you know, the point is, I have got bungee on the side that goes from here down to here. On the Bonfus, I think it barely did a hand width. Here, at least it's doing almost 2 hand widths. The front is basically bungee, so they've put bungee on the front, and that basically goes from here down to here. So you've got bungee for that distance there, so that's very good. The front pocket looks decent. The only thing that they've done, and I kind of wish that they would do it, I do prefer when my pocket thing, you know, that outside pocket goes all the way pretty much to the bottom like MLD do. I just prefer that. I don't know whether that's an older one. I don't know whether Ron has followed all the other sheep and done it this way. I don't know, but for some reason they seem to do the internal pocket, you know, a few inches from the bottom. I don't know why they do that. I think it's better to have it further down. Whether they're trying to protect stuff, I don't know. But I must admit, I do like it to go all the way down. But it's a decent size, so, you know, I'm not going to quibble on that. The bungee goes obviously, you know, to the bottom of that, so that's good. There's a really good size, again it's cord, not bungee, so time will tell on that. You know, I could, if necessary, swap it out for bungee. I don't want to for the moment. I want to use it, you know, how it is. And to be fair, when I bought this, and I did have to pay for it, I got it on their Cyber 10% day off, Cyber Monday thing. You know, it's all of these things were extra. So it was something ridiculous, like an extra $20 or something crazy for a bit of cord on the side and the bungee, and I don't know which bits come with it and which bits were extra, but basically for $20 I kind of paid for the cordage. I just wanted to see how it was. You know, I mean, I've got plenty of bungee and clips and I could have done it myself, but you know, I was kind of keen to see how they do it. So yeah, so you've got two down the bottom there. So, you know, a sit mat or a roll mat or something would fit down there, and that is a really decent sized, you know, it's not bungee, but it's a healthy size. So I do think you get your foam mat under there. One little feature that I really do like, and that's this here. This is obviously one, and then that's another one there. Tiny little loops. I'm guessing ice axe loop or walking pole loop or something like that for putting your walking poles in. And then obviously then the bungee would hold things in. There's, oh, and I hadn't noticed this. Ah, okay. I had a quick look earlier, you know, the other day. Okay, and then, so if you put your walking pole or your ice axe in down here, then you get a very small, with a toggle, bungee loop there for securing poles or ice axes there. So that's a nice little touch, and it's on both sides. So you could in theory put walking poles one side and an ice axe the other side. I think that would work. This side they seem to have the Boniface disease, because this side the cord is pretty exactly there, but there is no real excess there. So I don't know whether Zpack will see this video, but why is there, you know, plenty of excess there? Although to be fair, I don't know, maybe it's when it's like that, yeah, there's, and when that's, in fact, actually, I think they have got the Boniface disease, haven't they? Because when it is fully open like that, yeah, I think they have got the Boniface disease. Actually, I was wrong with my first interpretation there, because obviously when that's pulled tight, there's not very much slack under there. A little bit, you know, a little bit, you know, and a couple of inches, maybe a couple of inches more than Boniface. Because with the Boniface, I don't think there was any slack on that. I don't know why they do the cord, to be honest. It just doesn't really make sense, because like I said, if you are making it so, you know, so exact to the size, you want to be able to get something down there, and they have only given you, you know, maybe an inch or so to play with. I think when I use this, I think I will take bungee cord with me, you know, just in case I do need to take this off, which will be a little bit annoying because it cost me $20. But yeah, but then if I spend $20, then someone who watches this, they don't have to spend $20 on something that potentially is a little bit small. Like I said, I've not used it, so I can't say, but it just seems quite close, you know. I mean, to be fair, you know, there is some, I reckon you would get something under there, but I would still prefer bungee there. I don't know why they've gone that road, you know, maybe it's a bit lighter or something, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so that's the front outside. You get one clip, obviously, there. You get a roll top, the same as the MLD one. No stupid Velcro thing there, so that's good. Obviously, it rolls up. This has two closing systems. Again, I paid extra for the different systems. So one is you can close it like that, or you can have as an extra, which is a little bit cheeky really, but where you can clip it there. I prefer to be able to clip it like that. I find it helps keep the pack you know, tougher, you know, whatever, you know what I mean. What is good, if you remember with this one, when this was fully open, oh, I want to just actually compare sizes as well. With this one, if you wanted to put something, so this is the HMG Windrider, if you want to put something under the double loopy things and you're completely full, you're kind of rather screwed. It's really not a very good design, that. I'm kind of rather hoping that this is significantly, you know, better, and I might even be tempted to sell that HMG if this lives up to the height that I'm hoping. That's your double loop, and quite clearly, even when you're fully loaded, it not only goes all the way over the top, but you also have, you know, some spare there, so that's a very good thing. This unfortunately was also extra. You have to pay extra for that system included, and I don't really know why they left it on. It might have been better to have just taken it off and not charged the extra, but included is this one, which is a one strap thing which goes over for those who want to save grams and don't want the two loop thing, and you can get a one strap thing that would then clip in there. The only thing is, obviously they've included it because it probably comes as standard, but it's completely and utterly superfluous because you've got one clip there, and obviously you're using that one there, you know, the double thing which you've paid extra for. They could have charged a bit. I suppose they're thinking, well, if you want to save weight, then you've got the option of that. But anyway, that's that. So obviously, you know, one of them has to come off because you can't use your two loop thing and your one loop thing together, which obviously makes sense anyway, but better just to take that off. Basically, that's now superfluous to entire needs for me. Okay, so let's carry on with the back system. So we've shown you the side and everything like that. Now let's, one very interesting thing is the HMG, and this is 70 litres, but the HMG seems much bigger. You know, it will be interesting to see the HMG. I mean, this isn't exactly scientific. And people say, well, why does his videos go on so long? Because we do more than other people, that's why. Right, so that in there. And basically, I think it's right at the shape of the arc hole, because of that curve, kind of makes it shorter because it's obviously curving. So I suppose you've got to take that into consideration as well. But size difference is quite substantial. It's quite a substantial size difference there. You've almost got to jump inside the Windrider, the 70 Windrider, to get the 70 arc hole out. That 70 Windrider is huge, but this is also pretty big. I mean, this comes up, you know, when it's flat on the ground, it comes up to your, well, your hips there, doesn't it? So, you know, I'm guessing, I'm hoping that it's a good, I'm hoping it's a good size inside, because that's what I got it for, you know, was for a big internal space. Okay, let's carry on. A couple of other extra things that I got was a waterproof dry bag for it, which obviously you pay extra for. A water bottle holder, and a pouch, a super lightweight pouch with just a draw cord on it. So I kind of just wanted to get, you know, a few different things. The reason why these are not attached will become clear if you haven't already noticed. So they did set it all up for me, so that was good. So on the front, I've got one water bottle holder here, obviously extra, attached in place. That's you know, that's a really good strong fit. I'm not quite sure how you change them around, because there's knots on them, and I'm kind of thinking that you have to undo a knot, which is a little bit fiddly, to take these off and then to put the other one on. So Zpack people, you know, how do you take these off to get something else on? You know, is it literally trying to undo that knot, because that looks very fiddly. But obviously the pocket on this one is a zipped pocket holder where you could put, you know, your glasses or something a little bit more substantial in there than that, you know, super lightweight one. I just wanted to get both, so I had, you know, I could see both. And then obviously a little bungee type of pocket on the front. So that's the pockets there. I'll just put it on a minute. Right, when it's on, you've got a side pocket here, which is extra, and a side pocket here, which is extra. So it will be interesting to see how, let's get those straps the right way around. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. It'll sit better on me when it's got weight in it. But what I really wanted to show you was very nice zip opening thing. You know, that's out of the school of perfection, that one. I mean, I will admit that the HMG was pretty good too. The MLD one is pretty decent. The only thing with the MLD one, I think they're certainly on mine, Ron might have changed things because mine are a little bit older. Because they're a little bit looser, you know, they're not so fitted. I think if they were more fitted, you know, they would probably be as good as this maybe. But you know, I have to say this is probably the best. I have to say that's a very, very good opening thing there. It's very good. It's really handy when you want to be getting things in pockets, you know, in there. Okay, on the back, so obviously the back is called an arc because obviously it arcs, you know, there is you know, a thing like that. Now, the only thing, I want this for winter, the only thing where I would have to be careful is because this has this arc system here, is if it was snowing, snow could get in here and then obviously down in there up against your back. So that's the only slight concern that I have with wanting to use this as a winter pack, which is kind of why I was thinking maybe about taking these rods out, although God alone knows how easy or difficult that is. I really don't want to mess around with that unless I absolutely have to. But how do you take the rods out? I'll be interested in that. There's also, but you also get rods across the top as well. So I mean, it's quite flexible. I mean, it's, you know, it's not a piece of girder iron or something like that. You know, it's clearly something that's going to move, you know, with your back. But you know, if people do take the rods out, do you ever take out this rod up here? And how easy is it to get out, and how easy is it to get back in again? And then obviously there's another rod here that goes all the way across, and then obviously you've then got the ones down the bottom, and I'm guessing there's probably a rod at the bottom as well. So really, if you were taking out the arc rod, I think you would need to be taking out that middle rod across at a minimum. Maybe you could get away with leaving the top and the bottom ones on, but you would have to take that middle one out, because otherwise that would dig in your back. But obviously if snow was causing a problem and getting in there, I think you'd have no choice but to get this thing out, so the pack was flush to your back. Comments below. The back system, as I say, looks very, very nice. You know, with most of them, the straps are attached. You know, well, you know what I mean. With this, they're kind of they're attached to straps, so they're kind of, you know, very, very flexible and movable up there. So that seems pretty decent. That's fine. I've not really tried a pack like that, so that'll be interesting to see how that goes, but that should be nice. You get, let's get those straps out of the way. You get load lifters here, one there and obviously one over there. So you get a load lifter or two load lifters on it. Obviously the straps, you know, the shoulder straps can be, you know, adjusted, lengthened and shortened. You obviously get, you know, a waist belt. It's going to be very interesting how I get on with this system here, because if you've seen my other videos, then you'll know that I prefer a one cord, and indeed the very best one is the one on the Gregory pack, but it's like twice as heavy as all of these. I think I prefer the one strap, because then I'm just pulling one strap and I'm not having, oh, I got to find, I would just prefer one strap, and then when you've got gloves on, you've got one piece of cord, one piece of strap to pull, whereas, you know, with this you've got to find and fiddle with two smaller pieces. So again, jury's out on that one. I mean, clearly it's on here, it's clearly an incredibly good company, so I think I've seen reviews where they say you can fine tune it, you know, around your gut, I suppose, but I really don't understand how it would make that much, you know, that much of a difference. But you know, I don't know. It's just a, you know, I just prefer the one strap, but maybe it's very good. I don't know. We will see. We will see on this one. I've never been a fan of it on other packs that have had it, but you know, hopefully it will work on this one. And then obviously the last thing, or one of the last things, is you then get very, very substantial side pockets, and they are bungee-fied at the top, so you know that kind of, it kind of helps with the, you know, with the pack. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. There's no, oh no, there is. Yeah, should have known better than it. Yeah, there's a little water hole there. I knew though. I would have been amazed if there hadn't have been. And then there's probably one. Yeah, so there's a water egress, hot water out can get out there. And then the, you know, and then obviously the hip support thing down here, I think is, it's obviously a little bit more than this, because basically on the Exodus you just get it here, and that is just your Cuban fibre DCF there. On the HMG you kind of get those there, and there's really very little back here, very little there, which, you know, which is probably okay. On here you do get, and again, given that this has a frame, it's a bigger pack, you know, I would expect it to have more features than the MLD one, you know, simply because, you know, you will be carrying more in it. So, you know, it does have, you know, a more substantial back system. So kind of when you think about it, that this is 200 grams heavier than the MLD one, it's pretty impressive that it's only 200 grams more, because you've obviously got 1, 2, 3 rods going across there. You've got one rod there, one rod there, so you've obviously got several rods. You've got this lycra, I believe this is some lycra type of mesh material here, which goes against your back, so that will be interesting to see how that goes. So obviously you've got, you know, tiny bit of weight on that. You've got load lifters, which obviously you don't get on that. You know, I wouldn't expect it on that because of the type of pack that it is. I'm just highlighting, you know, bits that are extra that add weight. And then obviously then you've got a back, you know, a hip belt, which includes this bit here. So, you know, it is quite impressive that they've been able to get, you know, all of this down, you know, to less than 900 grams for everything, because the HMG pack, that was about 1.2 kilograms. So, you know, this is about, I'll double check the weight on that, but I think it was about 1.2 kilograms. It might even have been 1.4, I can't quite remember, but I mean, this is at least 300 grams, you know, lighter than the HMG pack. Obviously I don't think it's as big, so that will be interesting to see, but I do think that its overall design, I don't know about quality, I'm sure the quality on the HMG is excellent too, but I think its overall design, thought process and all of that, I think is far superior to the HMG. So I'm kind of at this moment in time glad that I saved the money on the Bonfus, didn't get that, you know, because I really always wanted this, to see finally, you know, get a Zpack's, you know, pack and see what it's, you know, what it was like. And I have to say, you know, on face value, this is basically, we're looking at it pretty much for the first time. You know, I haven't used it, I haven't tried it, I will be using it and trying it very soon. So it certainly will be interesting to see, you know, how we get on with it. But yes, I think it looks really nice, and I'm very happy that I spent a lot of money to give it a try. Because like I said, whilst I love the Exodus pack, it's just not big enough for, you know, for a full winter. The original Exodus, this one here, bizarrely is a little bit bigger than the new Exodus. I think the new Exodus MLD, I think they changed the designs on them a little bit, and they kind of streamlined. So now, so back in the day, the original Exodus was bigger all the way around than the Prophet. So it was bigger this way, it was bigger that way, it was just bigger overall than the Prophet. Then I think when they redesigned everything, probably just to help, you know, because it's a small company, so they're limited to what they can do. But when they redesigned it, basically the Prophet and the Exodus are exactly the same size now. It's only the Exodus, the new Exodus, you know, that one down there, is taller, higher, so you get more, more up that way, but you can't get more out that way. And I always, even though, you know, I love that, I always missed, you know, not having, you know, a little bit more room. But again, it's still about 55 or thereabout litres. So, you know, I always wanted a slightly bigger pack. And obviously Ron does the Arc, which is like a huge pack, but there is just, you know, I mean, it's completely frameless, and it's not very car, I have to admit. It's, you know, it's so big that you can't pack it very well to make it comfortable. It's too big. Maybe I'll sell the Arc one day, because it really is a someone might be able to use that as like a hold-all or something like that. Yeah, but I wouldn't, I mean, all this stuff here, I've had this is the original Exodus, and I must admit I wouldn't want to sell that. The original Exodus had this, you know, this stuff down here as a back support and everything. It's a nice, really nice pack. I kind of wish that they would make, you know, I kind of wish that it didn't have this on the top. It's just that was always a little bit faffy. that bit there, when you packed it up, it was, I found that when it was fully packed up, it would kind of flop over a little bit like that. But, you know, it's a really nice pack, but obviously you don't get that with these because it's all the same material, so you don't have that problem. No. Anyway, back to concentrate on Zpack, not MLD all the time. So yeah, so anyway, that's where we are on that. I think we've covered everything on it. If I've missed anything, comment below. Obviously I have checked the Garmin InReach thingamybobs will fit around there, no problem. So that's okay. So yeah, so that's my not very brief rundown on the Zpacks Arc Haul 70 litres. Comments, thoughts, as always, down below. If you've got this far, make sure you're subscribed. Think about becoming a channel member. You know, all that helps. Anyway, thanks very much, and you know, I will see you all in the next video. Thanks very much, everybody. I was editing my film video thing, and I got about halfway through, and I remembered one thing which I had forgotten to do. So it will be interesting whether anyone, one, notices what I forgot to do, and two, whether anyone watches to the end to see what it was that I forgot. It's it'll be interesting how the back, I think when it's fully loaded, I think it will sit better on the hips. At the moment I went for medium on this, so this will be another thing that will be interesting. Normally I always go for large, but their sizing, large, was like 23 to 26 inches, which clearly is too much for me. My back is about 21 inches, so their sizing for medium was something like 19 to 22 inches. You know, so I went for medium because I was, you know, within that sizing thing. So that will be interesting to see how that transpires, because I do notice that this bit here is right on the shoulder, so I can't make it. I think when it's loaded, I think it will sit on the shoulders better. So that will be just be another, that's another thing that I hadn't thought of until this second. They've also got this silly movable thing here. Again, I much prefer the one on Ron's on the MLD, when this bit here, the sternum strap, is actually fixed onto this here, and it doesn't move. And in fact this one's potentially even more fiddly because it's kind of behind this, and if you've got this loaded out, I don't know how easy this is going to be, because you can't just, well, actually you can, but you know, my guess is that it will move, you know, somewhat, but maybe it is. Yeah, but I mean, you know, to be fair, you can just about do it one-handed, but I think you'll have to really concentrate it. It's loose, and I would prefer that it was fixed, and then you're not having to, you know, it's not like trying to dock the space shuttle or something. You know, it would be better if it was fixed. I mean, you can do it one-handed. If you want to do it with holding hands, it's a bit more fiddly, but I just remembered that, so I'll add that at the very end for anyone that, you know, that actually gets you know, that actually gets that far. So yeah, it will be interesting. I hope and pray, you know, that I got the right size in medium on there. It should be okay, fingers crossed. I'll get going. Thanks very much.